to your new moon illumination. How are we all doing today? Definitely feeling this portal of creation, this renewal, this void, and new beginnings. Great time to put all those dreams and manifestations, or even just re-up on them and get them out in front of you. I know I am, and writing in the journal and keeping it clear on this path forward into so much that's happening. It's such a powerful time, and it's a great time to be present with yourself and to know what's happening inside your being, your body, your mind, your emotions, and that lift as we are able to really feel it, work with it, and know thyself. I think it comes always down to know thyself and what you're experiencing. I think a lot of times in our world, we become numb to a lot of the things in our lives that challenge us. And if we can be present with them, we can really work the energy and free ourselves to be one with the being of our spirit and our loving ascended heart. And so welcome, dear ones. Great to be with you today. Up here in Northern California, where we've gotten our first rains after an extremely dry, long summer. Smoky, hot, long summer. The warmth was nice, but man, we went through a lot of fires, and we had some really powerful experiences up here in Northern California, as all over the world. So many different things happening. So many. And namaste to you. I see that I am free. I love that. Thank you for chiming in on that. I'm going to go ahead and say that too. I am free. And that really brings up a subject that I've been thinking about a lot lately and getting clear on what do I want? What is the most important thing to me? And what I've realized is freedom. Freedom to be myself and to just relax, all of it, and just enjoy. And so thank you for that, Jean, over there in the chat. This is my second live broadcast, so I'm getting used to using the chat. And thanks for participating. It brings me great joy to connect with Sean over there in the chat. So yeah, freedom is so important. And if we have all these things around us that kind of keep us compressed, and the way I think about it is a lot of times it just feels like these self-imposed prisons, and it's nothing to feel weird about or any of those things. It's just those things that we've taken on over a lifetime, coping and just working with the energy around us. And eventually we become aware of these things, and it's so freeing. And so I am free. Yes, good to be free. And today I really want to talk a little bit about the body. I've been noticing, and I'm feeling the global community of just the amount of energy that's coming through us right now it just brings up a lot of the body stuff. And so it's so important to just check in. Let's go ahead. If you guys would like to join me for a hand on the heart and just a deep breath in, just to check in with the body for a minute. Just go ahead and breathe in through your nose and out the mouth. So, and just let it all out. Oh, let the body relax. This is a great way to check in with the body and just release and feel the energy that we're made of. And by doing it, just gives us a pause. Because as we all know, we're all working with so much right now, and it's a time to really be in mastery and just to remember who we are, and that by being in our mastery and doing the work, we help shift this energy and this global shift of the ages that we are deep up in. And I'm so happy to be a part of it, and I'm glad to be in this community and working with the community of self-ascension, which has completely shifted my life. And Oneness Talk Radio is just such a hub and a portal for positivity. So thank you for joining me here today. Yeah, talking about the body. I know, especially for me, yoga, gentle walks, just getting the energy to move, dancing. Oh my gosh, dance. I've been doing a ton of dancing with kids, and it really helps free the energy up. It's kind of like shake it off, shake it, and let it just roll out. And I know I'd like to just talk a little bit about what are we doing with the body? Here's a few things that we can do. I start every day with a glass of warm lemon water, which is a great way to just to get that right in the body and just to really hydrate first thing in the morning. And to me, it's like squeezing sunshine into your glass of water and then drinking that. And the sun is just such a source of energy. It is, for everything. It's just that portal and that energy spectrum that everything is able to operate from. There's things that don't need sun, but it's just one of those things that offers so much. Like sun gazing is a great practice to be done, and not doing much of that right now just because pretty cloudy out there, but the sun is always there. So if you do have clouds, you can look right through those clouds and know that sun is still energizing you and helping you remember that you are the sun. You are the energy of brilliant light and luminosity, because that's each individual weighted being here is that. And the more we remember that, the more it radiates out and helps illuminate others. And so thank you for being awake and on this path of what I like to call the awakened conscious creation. And that is just awakening ourselves so we can be conscious and be awake. And during a time where every being makes a difference, every thought, every mind, thought, feeling goes out and is in creation right now. So if we are taking responsibility and really paying attention to that, we make the difference. We help with the global shift. And what a fun time it is to be alive on this planet right now. Another thing I wanted to talk about is just for those of us, and I would imagine it's most of us, just the amount of energy that's moving and shaking and sometimes breaking. And sometimes that's good, blowing us out of our minds, because the mind can be such a prison, and to be able to allow sometimes for things just to shatter or crumble is exactly what we need. It's a death of sorts, and to be able to allow that and to come out the other side, there's always an opening and expansion of a compressed energy. And so talking about releasing energy, I just want to talk about just taking baths is a great thing that I do. And there's several different types of baths that are great for releasing. And I'm sure a lot of you take baths or even foot baths. You get a little bit of sea salt in a tall pot, and then just soaking your feet is a great way. Even just taking sea salt and putting it in the bottom of a pan before you put any water in it, and then just rub your feet in that and just rub that, let that salt help clear any congestions, because the feet carry a lot. Think about the feet. They carry our bodies. They take us everywhere that we go. I mean, we have to take care of them. If you don't take care of your feet, you're going to be miserable, and it's going to be hard to get around. And so we always start with the feet when it comes to wholeness and healing, and just really starting with the feet and rubbing your feet in salt and then pouring in some nice hot water into there is a really great thing to do. And just to really allow those feet to be taken care of. And doing a bath is a great way. If you're having one of those bad days, or you may feel like you've taken on some energy, there's just, it happens. It's like we're living in a world where there's so much free floating energy, and, sometimes we take it on, and then, other times, you can wear malas and then crystals. And I'm sure a lot of you that are watching us do the same thing. It's like, nice to have a little protection just to remind us of the divinity that we are. And, and it feels so good to have just that extra protection, even though we are protected. But sometimes I think we need to train ourselves to remember that we are in divine flow and amazing beings of brilliant light. And so, taking baths, one of my favorite ones for having a bad day. And I've learned a lot of these practices and things through Sri and Kira, and I am a certified medical intuitive, a Vesa medical intuitive, and I learned that from Sri Ram Khan, his amazing wisdoms. And I learned about these baths back in those days when I was taking that course, and I use it with clients a lot, because just we really need to surround ourselves with practices and foods and lifestyles that really help us stay in a lifted state, surrounding ourselves with others that are in that energy of awakening, because it really feeds us. And just sharing a world with so many different kinds of beings, it's like some days you're just going to take on energy. It happens, and If you can do a bad day kind of bath is what I call it, or a day where you just feel off, something's happening. You may have taken on energy, or you're just processing your own energy. It's and maybe that taking on that energy is just a gateway to remember that there's something in you that needs to be healed, and that's how it usually works in a mirror world of divine mirrors that are always informing us what's happening and within us. And as we create that peace within, you radiate that out and heal the world, really. And so a great bath is just to fill the tub with warm water. It doesn't have to be hot, but just warm, and put in a quart of hydrogen peroxide and kind of stir that in, and maybe light a candle for yourself and get in the bath. And once you do get in the bath, you want to really you can moan, scream, you can grieve, whatever's happening with you. I know Shri and Kira today, Shri Ramkat and Master Lady Kira Ram, giving full respect there. We're talking a lot about grieving, and Shri went through a process of grieving. I've been doing a lot of grieving. There's just so many changes, and when these changes come in, it's like letting go of an old world, an old paradigm. And when we unlock those kind of things and release, or in the process of releasing these big energies, and there's kind of this feeling of loss, like, oh, I'm losing something. It's an old paradigm, it's an old pattern, and even though it's for our best, there's a process we go through in grieving. And so getting in one of these little bathtubs is really great, and you can visualize toxins and patterns leaving your body. You can just picture it. And get in there with that hydrogen peroxide, soak in the bath, scream, moan, grieve, yell, whatever it is you need to do to release whatever it is that's in your body. And it's always a good idea as well to put a couple of your beautiful healing hands on an area that may feel tight and tense or pulsing. I get the pulses sometimes, or just a consolidation. And so by doing the bath, water is such a universal healer and a precious resource, and something to remember, and to, as we take care of our planet, we really need to focus on taking care of resources and things like that, and not waste. But a bath, I feel, is a great way to really release a lot of energy. And then if you're just looking for a relaxing bath, just needing that extra calming, a long day at the office, or at home on the computer, which a lot of us are now, the different states of beingness that are happening out there. Sea salt, and really just another bath of just relaxing is put some sea salt in your bath. You can put a cup of sea salt and just relax and deeply relax that depth of who you are, and put your hands on your heart, and you can do the Om, Aum, Om, Aum. And this is just a great way to calm the nervous system down. The Om, Aum chant really delivers us into that state of peace and love and expansion. It really is an expanding chant, the Om, Aum. And allowing that to be in a bathtub is really an amazing thing to give to yourself. I highly recommend it. And then the last one about, and you're looking for that deeper, as far as the baths go, looking for that deeper connection. Just, sometimes I'll go outside and I'll feel something, and I'll go outside and I'll look at the stars, and it's something about that night. You know what I mean? It's just like something's in the cosmos tonight, and there's just something happening. And this kind of a bath is just basically taking sea salt, your favorite essential oil, and lighting a white candle. And you can do the I am practice. And this is really a bath that's about connecting with you and the cosmos. You can do the I am divinely guided, or I am loved, I am peace, I am safe. And this is a great bath for connection on those times where you're like, I just need a little extra. I'm feeling the cosmos. I'm feeling the energy right now. I'm just looking for a little more connection. Sea salt, 3 drops of your favorite essential oil, and a white candle to stare at, and just let it flow, and try the I am love. I am divinely guided. And, or the mantra of self-ascension. I am here. I am ready. I am open. Guide me. And that definitely opens up a portal of creation and connection with all that we are and all that's available to us. And so, yeah, so there's a few baths that I feel, especially this past week. This past week was intense. There was so much going on, and I, just bringing out everything possible to help support the process. Because what I noticed about maybe the 31st of October, but there was so much building up to that moment for me. There was so many things that were calling me away from my peace, love, and joy. I mean, it was amazing how many things were coming forward and just stacking up. And by the time I made it to the 31st, I felt like I had accomplished something because I was able to process a lot and have that day of that silent retreat and connection, and to really just be and hold that level of peace for that day of connection and consciousness. So it's interesting. Sometimes, the energies come early. I notice that with clients and for myself before, the peak of the energy, and it kind of prepares us for it. And then we can deliver ourselves into that zone of peace and make a difference on what's happening. There's just, so doing the baths is a great way to really move energy and visualize and be in a creation place. And also today on the journey, just wanted to talk a little bit about interference. There's, obviously it's at an all-time high. There's a lot going on out there, and there are those who would benefit, from an extra interference into maybe slowing down the process of those of us that are awakening, our brethren that have a different take on things. And it's just part of the polarity experience being here on this planet. And we have the tools, to work through a lot of this. And so, interference is at an all-time high. I had some experiences when I was in Ecuador that really illuminated. I'll share about that in a minute, of just how much is happening, and that when we rise above it and we hold enough light, then that we're not affected. We're not affected in that way. And so, doubt would probably be the biggest thing that would allow interference into our lives. I think it's Archangel Zadkiel. Only doubt can disconnect you from your beingness. Only doubt can disconnect you from your beingness. And that is the wise words of the Archangel Zadkiel. And so doubt's a big one. Doubt's a big one to see and look at, and just to notice when it's there. And it's usually a wake-up call for me when I'm in that space. So like, oh, okay, I'm in that space. I can pull myself out of that and see it. And so when we allow the energy of doubt to permeate our consciousness, we have allowed ourselves the opening of a portal that will be attractive to the chaotic interference, astral energies of the fourth dimension, which, I think is running the world right now in a lot of ways. So once this interference energy, once it's anchored itself, often we're unable to discern that it's present, because it just becomes like this operating system that's automatic. And so any of you are joining now, we're talking about interference, and it's good to be present and aware of when these things are around. To move through the energy takes great, self-discipline, self-determination, transparency. And remember, the goal of this energy is to interfere with your process. And as you allow your heart to fully anchor its presence and release the egoic filters that are trying to hold on firmly to really that energy, that interference is there, since oftentimes the energy is really stroking you for the ego to stay present. So we have to come up to the heart and be in the heart and find the clarity to see what the energy is present, if it's there or not, to really check in with our bodies and our emotions and our egoic filters, really. And if you can, as we are able to walk through the experience and gain mastery along the way, this is another training ground I found working with interference. It's more of a brings on more of the skills and the awareness of consciousness, and because there's so much different streams of consciousness out there, and once you take the steps of freedom, you're able to fully anchor on the other side. simply the single most important step is for you to be able to recognize energy when it's present, to just know that it's there, And I think oftentimes when we're not aware, or we've been dancing with the energies of the artifacts of density and things, we become numb and we don't really realize that they're there. And so just being present, even with just our breath and our heart, and a hand on heart and breath will help us find that space where we can just be present with it. And so I have like a little bit of a list that was lovingly gifting to us from Archangel Zadkiel once again. So much comes from through the Archangel Zadkiel and through Kira Ra and Sri Ram Ka to really assist us to easily recognize when you're being interfered with and when it's not of the highest. And so we can really come to terms and really identify that it's there and move out of that energy. And so the first thing on the list is money motivation. If money motivation is the number one intention, not that money is bad or anything, but it's like there's a lot of folks out there that money is God, and by being in that energy, it can call that interference in easily. It allows it in rather than be, and I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying if we're on the path, as we are on this path of self-ascension, self-realization, the awakening process to just really be in that helping others in the heart chakra energy. And, the money, it becomes part of that. It just becomes, it's like a benefit, that you get by being in service. And that really is what the first chakra is all about. That original root chakra is about calling in the abundance through your service to others. And so that's been a real focus in my life in the last many years, but especially the last 2 years. And it works. It really works. It happens. And and then coming back to this interference energy, having this list, first on the list was money motivation, and ego, that just the ego gratification. If it's just for the ego, then it's another consciousness level that can allow interference in. Not say it's going to happen for sure, but it often allows it in, and that fourth dimensional energy can show up. Another one is personal agenda, which basically is egoic. Having that personal agenda rather than a sacred intention, maybe, is kind of the discernment there. A sense of right or wrong is another way that the interference energy can come in. Right or wrong, I'm wrong, you're right, I'm better, you're worse, all that kind of stuff, that black and white kind of stuff, positive, negative. A need for God to appear to you. That's another one that can cause that interference energy. And like I was saying, this list comes from Archangel Zadkiel, and it's a real great list to remember how we can allow the doubt and the interference energy to come in. And if we align ourselves in a way that's in more of the positive energy, then it's going to make it a lot easier. It's kind of like eating lighter foods. If you're eating heavy foods, you're more likely to be heavy if you're not doing a lot of work, a lot of energy work to keep that, to move that energy. And as we all know, it takes a lot of energy it takes focus and consciousness to be in the awakened sincerity of our authentic love and light of who we are. And so to be able to put our energy into other ways of being, you're not overloaded with things trying to, it's just too many things, it kind of keep it simple. And if this list really helps out. And the other one on the list of how to recognize interference is outside of sincere love space. If it's not coming from that love space, then it's very likely that the interference energy eventually, or maybe right away, will come in, depending on who we are. I learned very young that I could not really do the lying thing. I would get caught right away. It was just like, I wasn't meant to lie in this lifetime. Maybe I did a lot of lying in the last lifetime. I don't know, but I know that just living in that sincere love space makes a difference, and it creates an energy around you that is on the upliftment. And so the number 7 on the list is the information you desire is justified from a position of feeling right. I'm right, and we've all played with this one. It's just part of growing up in density, knowing that a lot of us are just right it all the way to the end. You've got to be right. And so it's just it's just something to remember, I think. And the last one on the list is the information you share with another leaves them feeling less than or wrong about their own truth of their experience. And so really just trying to push, onto other people can open up that interference and the doubt and all that stuff that is challenging if we don't, if we don't curb it or nip it in the bud. It's like, it's something that's got to be looked at. And one critical component to releasing the grip of interference is you are not able to break free from someone else's story if it's given to you with more passion and energy than you carry for yourself. And so that's pretty common too. I know I spent a lot of time in other people's stories, and so that does allow that disempowerment and that interference energy in. And basically, I'll say it again: if you're not able to break free from someone else's story, if it's given to you with more passion and energy than you carry for yourself. And so this is a good one to remember. And this is really a metaphor to the experience of this world. I mean, this is almost the norm out there. And really, until you can anchor your ascended, your self-ascended heart and break free from all the stories, including past life, I was mentioning past life, you will not. It's going to be hard to, maybe challenging to be able to break free from the illusion, because there's all these stories, and those stories are part of the illusion and possibly the depth and disillusion, And this includes your ability to embrace your passion and the energy of your truth for yourself without doubt. Oh, I'm sorry, my phone is making noise, and we have to turn that off. Yeah, so that it's the doubt. It's coming back to Archangel Zadkiel. It's only doubt can disconnect you from your beingness, that beingness and truth, authenticity of who you are. It's the doubt. The doubt is the joy killer. Doubt is the joy killer. So if we can pay attention to that and bring focus and consciousness to that, it makes the rise a lot easier. I know it has for me. And, talking about interference, most of this energy is coming from that fourth dimensional astral, the astral interference. And it's usually at the level that is seeking passion and energy to know and experience, the astral interference. And remember that the consistent seeking will always elude finding and empower that doubt. The key component to interference to enter really is that energy of just constantly seeking and outside of the truth of who you are. And so this is why empowering your own heart with discernment is paramount and the key to unlocking the gift to being wholly transparent with yourself, and really looking at the list. I'll just go over the list one more time: money motivation, ego gratification, personal agenda, sense of right and wrong, need for God to appear to you, being outside of that love, sincere space, the information you desire is to justify a position you feel is right. And so, and the astral will do anything to gain power through claiming your power. And so anchor your heart and release the doubt and enjoy your freedom. And the show started out with being about freedom. And I've realized over the years that freedom is the most important aspect that I'm calling it. I'm going to have a little sip of tea here. Pumpkin spice rooibos. Excellent. Great for the wintertime. And so, talking a little bit about interference today. And I had a dream while I was in Ecuador, and there was a lot of energy of interference around, because as we know that as light gathers, so does dark. And I had this dream where this plane I had a dream that this big, huge jumbo jet was taking off and circling around me, and I was up on this plateau, and it was like a plateau of consciousness, right? I was on top of this plateau, and there was a motorhome there, and this jet just kept circling around me, and I could just feel the energy coming off this jet, and it was kind of like super interference energy. It just felt like what I would imagine, like the 5G energy, but like times 100. It was like built for interference, And so I watched this thing go around and around and around, and I was looking at, I could see the pilots, believe it or not, I could see their eyeballs, and so I'd spend a little time, hiding from it, and then I would look at it, and I would hide from it and look at it. And so the dream was really about just the interference that had been around and that needed to be worked with consciously. And so it was definitely one of those big interference energies that I needed to pay attention to. as I was in Ecuador working with so much enlightenment energy and the Kanyari and these amazing indigenous and this temple of light out onto the Tosa property, temple of creation light. For some reason, I'm always mixing that up. And there was just so much going on there, and there was definitely a lot of energy around, and I had to use my tools and bring in everything that I know and to work with these energies of interference and not letting them in, basically. And I felt that was a pretty profound dream about this jet, and because there are a lot of electronic energies out there that are doing exactly that. But if we lift our consciousness into the frequencies of love and above, you're not going to be affected by this stuff. And I feel it's the same thing with a lot of the, getting a cold or a sickness and things like that. It's like, yeah, we've all gotten these things, but as we lift our consciousness and we continue to put things of that have love and light in them, eating, drinking, using those kind of things, it's going to be easier to stay well because you're in a higher state of consciousness. And so you're just not going to be dragged down by the artifacts of density that will often make you feel not so well. And sometimes you just have to call it in to move energy. There's just so many different ways. I found that, that's true with plant medicine or even viruses. It's, when we take on something or we ingest a plant medicine, it gives us sort of a fever to work with. And oftentimes with these fevers, it really it's a cleanse. It's a forced cleanse. I've noticed that with getting sick. It's like when you've gotten a flu or something, and you just feel so horrible. And as you work through it and you're just forced to rest, and, it's that call to retreat, call to take a break from your pattern when you get sick or have a fever or a cold or something like that. It's really just a moment to just go inward. And by the time you're done, what I've noticed is there's so much gratitude that comes out of it. And just feeling good, from the other state of consciousness of always, feeling good. Maybe we get used to just feeling good or not feeling good or whatever it is you're experiencing. But for me, it was like, generally I feel pretty good. And then I get a sickness or something like that. And then I feel horrible. And then I come out of that and then I'm able to see the contrast, and that really informs and brings forward that gratitude about just really loving your experience and your life and realizing all those that are around you, and just the gratitude. And gratitude is that freedom, really is that freedom. And that's true in like the grieving process. I think the final thing is gratitude. I don't have it in front of me, but I know it's anger, it's denial, I forget there's 5 steps, but the last one I believe is gratitude, because it's an expansion. Once we get further enough along through it and we processed a lot, and it could take years, it could take months, it could take days, depending what it is and how we're working through it. But when we do get to that gratitude point, it's more that where that consolidation of whatever that energy was on that particular chakra. A lot of times second chakra is pretty pretty prevalent. Is that third chakra or second chakra? And then we are able to release it, and it just feels like it just expands out, and then that feels really good. And so talking about interference, and so just having some tools to remember that if we practice and become aware, then we won't be affected by these things. And doubt can be something that's rarely affecting our consciousness. And so I know that healing really involves expanding the mental programming we've grown up with. It's just really releasing some of that, because a lot of it's like a computer program, and I know that I get stuck with those kind of things, and I have to just release myself from it. But it takes time, it takes time and consciousness to really know about that. And coming back, we're talking a lot about interference today, and we're talking about the physical body. Because the physical body, when all this energy is moving and all these energies from the past that have been stuck and are releasing, it really can be quite a journey, to go through. And the physical level of healing requires that we release and cleanse the stagnant energy layered in our cells, through cellular renewal and of the organs and the systems, really can return us to that perfect balance. And so that's what's so great about cleansing. I highly recommend a cleanse once a month, maybe, whether it's just liquids for one day, soups and smoothies. I try to do 2 days a month, and I usually just do like a lemon water fast for a couple days, and then every 6 months do like a 10-day, lemon water fast. You just got to figure out what works best for you. I think the cleansing really brings forward a lot. It's a good time to journal, and it helps you go in a lot when we don't have that thing that we're used to, bringing in that food or whatever, that thing that brings us joy, or that emotional joy, I guess, that transient joy. To be able to release that, and then things just become a lot lighter, and then you get time to really just work on that journaling and being with yourself and finding other ways through breath and practices and meditation. Really helps get that clarity going. And yeah, with the physical body, I know I've been noticing a lot of needing to do movement, yoga, Tai Chi, gentle walks, getting outside, just really, if you can, some places it's starting to get snowy and really cold, but yeah, you can still get out there with a big jacket and so on. And I know that here in Northern California, we're finally, like I said earlier, we're finally getting our rain, and it feels really good to have some, a little break from what had been going on. But yeah, working at the physical level right now is going to be key to just keeping ourselves going and not getting bogged down. Hydrating, eating foods that are filled with love and light. Generally, I find vegetarian is good, and there's unhealthy vegetarian and there's healthy vegetarian, and I find that I've known a lot of folks, and as myself included, that you just eat a bunch of dairy and wheat, and that it tastes good and everything, but it doesn't, it doesn't have a lot to it that feeds us and feeds our that brings in the love. And so to eat foods that are filled with love, things that are grown in the sun, fruits and veggies, can really help illuminate and just really send the message clear to our bodies that we really want to ingest a lot of light, and things that are lighter is really good thing to do. I was talking about just drinking a lot of water, and a little bit of lemon in your water is good, and just try to get good water that's, from, whether it's, hopefully you can get something that's, a little bit energized, put a little crystal in it or something like that before you drink it, can be one way, or a little bit of lemon. It's a great way to just bring up the level of consciousness into that love stream. Yeah. And really working on that physical level. I know with the emotional body, and the physical, the emotional, egoic, they're all really tied together. And that's what I think gives us the challenge a lot of times, because they're so tied together and we don't realize, because it's just kind of this big lump of energy that we're working with. And on the emotional level, that healing really begins by building self-worth, healing old hurts that would inhibit our sense of personal growth, our personal value, through the increased self-trust and recognition of our spiritual nature. We can align our belief systems around new perspectives that can really give us our purpose and really for being here in this lifetime. And that comes with the awakening process and remembering how beautiful and powerful we are. And that's the emotional levels, because there's so much, emotions can really tie us down, and I'm not saying emotions are bad. I'm just saying that, that a lot of times that we can be pulled in different directions that can pull us into that victim consciousness through the ego, is a good thing to remember. And then of course the mental, talking about the physical, the emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies here, they're all tied together in these different ways. And the mental level of healing is really closely tied to the emotional body. The mental and emotional bodies are really tied together, and it's important that we release outdated belief systems that would maybe tell us that we're not all that we are, and beliefs are, beliefs are like I was saying, like a computer program. It's software. It's, if you belief systems limit your joy, if there's constantly this voice in there that's telling us that we're this, or we're criticizing ourselves, and that mental body can just be like a runaway train. And so to really become conscious of our thoughts through our connection with our breath and our body, and just really the meditation, and just allowing ourselves to just go into that quiet space. That's what the bath is great for, the bath with the candle. like I was talking about in the beginning of the program, to have that bath and the candle and just relax and just see what comes up. Does the mind want to chatter? Does the mind want to criticize? Does the mind want to say this is stupid? Or, so just by getting into that soft space of the heart can really help us understand the mental processes. Because before, when we're not conscious, the brain just runs away and it's just all this chatter. I know that was so extremely true for me as a young person. It was just always there, and yada, 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 and you're not this and you're not that. And that's how I motivated myself to do things in life. But there's another way to do it. And by championing that energy and replacing it with positive affirmations and mantras and things like that, is a great way to slow the mind down, talking about the mental body here and coming back to that. And, I am here, I am ready, I am open, guide me. Is a great way to interrupt these thoughts that come in. And once we are aware of them, then we can take action, right? Take action, become aware of what's going on in our process. No need to judge it, just know that it's there. It's like, oh, it's just a tape, right? It's that old tape. It just keeps playing, it just doesn't want to stop. So we have to take the initiative to say enough's enough and, do that mantra. For me, it's I am enough. I've experienced a lot of that energy in my life of not being enough, or I don't measure up, and so then I bring in the I am enough. I am enough. If that software program that just loves to run because it's just so used to doing that, and once that comes up for me, it's like I am enough because I am. I am enough because I am. And basically that just, it stops that train of thought that would continue to, because, mind, thought, feeling, right? And the feelings become creation. And so by thinking those thoughts, then we just find ourselves back in that victim triangle, where it's, we're not enough or whatever it is. And the truth is we are enough. We are fully capable and fully illuminated by the divine. And to remember that it's always available. These resources are always available to us. And it comes into that crown chakra that is just all the wisdom in the world and so much information. If you want it, it's there, and it's the ultimate education or even connection. We can read 1,000 books and not get what we can when we just directly connect with the divine. And the books lead us to that direction. That's how it's been for me. It's like, oh yeah, I read this book. I read the Mahabharata and autobiography of a yogi, and just some of those things really help us remember and give us that extra push or recognition to just remember how beautiful and how connected we are. Because we are all of those things. We are the Buddha. We are the goddess and God. It's all within us, and it's good to know that. Because that's how beautiful and how important you are. And every thought, everything that comes from your mind and turns into a thought and goes into a feeling becomes the part of that reality that we're all experiencing together right now. And so by taking the reins on that and doing your mantras and doing the practices, I'm doing it all the time because it takes work and there's always more to work with. And so, yeah, and so basically I've been talking about the physical, the emotional, the mental body, and where the mental body can really limit our joy because a lot of times it's critical, right? I mean, we live in a world that's full of negative projections and there's this constantly out there. And so we have to, we've got to take the reins and say, enough's enough. I'm ready to do the work. And doing the work is a good thing because it helps shift consciousness around us. And the last one, just talking about these different bodies, the physical, emotional, mental, and they're all connected. The spiritual body level healing, we seek to have direct experience of the divine because we are the divine, right? And we embrace the guidance from the helpers, angels, and teachers to experience greater joy and meaning in life. And by feeling that depth of the angels out there and the masters, and it could be those in our family that have transitioned. I've had those experiences of grandpas and grandmas that are saying, hey, we're here, we're supporting you, just pay attention, we're here. And so there's so much available to us. We're never alone. We really aren't. And I've had many times where I just felt like that was the truth. I am alone, and no. They're all around us. The angels, I know when I'm doing my healing work, and sometimes I just have to back off the table and say, okay, you guys take over, just get out of the way. And then they take over, and then the archangels come in and do the work and help facilitate that healing and that movement of energy. And so the spiritual guidance is really powerful. And as we fully connect with the flow of divine love, serving others, and it can become really a positive influence in the world, and a natural expression of who we are and our beingness. And I know that's a lot of times we have a little trouble finding that, but over time it gets better, and we stay at it, just like the archangel's always saying, just keep going, and we just keep going. And I know when people tell me their stories and the things that happened to them, and it's like, oftentimes what I tell them is, you just got to keep going, and here's a practice, and here's this, and here's that, and if that may work for you, it may not, and just keep going, and things will work out. And so, so just talking a little bit about these bodies, on the emotional level, on the physical level, the mental body. I mean, we have a lot to work with here as human beings, don't we? As these spiritual beings having this human experience, it's quite the job, and you just got to keep doing it and keep going, and it gets better as we focus on that joy, right? Because the joy is the marker. Find that joy, whatever it is, and just focus in that area, and to have the foundation of peace and the love, and then the joy can really set us free and empower our lives where we can be doing exactly what we want to be doing in life, and enjoying it, having all the abundance and all the things that we have wanted. To bring those in is amazing, because then you can help other people, and that's so important in a time where a lot of people need an extra hand, whether it's food or jobs or just a kind word or a kind smile. It just makes such a difference in our world. And so just to be able to call in that abundance for ourselves, and then be able to share that with others is something that brings me a lot of joy. And so it's a good time. It's a really good time, and this is a great time to be doing it. This is the 15th of November, Sunday, November 15th, and this illuminated new moon. So here we are, right? This is the creation. This is the void. This is the moment to really be present with your dreams and never give up, and to focus in that area. And if you have no clouds in the sky tonight, it's going to be a good stargazing night. And so I think I'm looking at clouds tonight or where I'm at, so may not see that, but it's just like a really wise person once told me. He said, well, I was talking about the moon and the sun and, this and that. And he's like, well, the sun's always shining. And I said, you know what? He's right. Because when you blast out off into space away from our planet, that constant sunshine is there, and the stars are always shining and full of light, and just remind us how amazing we are. And that reminds me of a practice that I really enjoy, that fills me up with a lot of light and love, because that's always a good thing to do, especially in times where that's being challenged. We're living in times where the consciousness wants to be flattened out and contained, and I'm not going to allow that to happen. So one of the things that I do, and I think it was Sri Ramkala that taught this practice, and it was basically, even on a beautiful day, a blue sky day, it doesn't have to be a clear sky, but if you do have a really blue sky, basically what you do is you look up the sky and you stare out into the blue sky during the day, and then you notice and imagine that there are stars out there, and that all the stars of the cosmos are out there, and you just allow that to come through that blue sky, and allow that to come right into your eyes, and just fill your body up with energy. And I've done it on a cloudy day too. I mean, I like it on a blue day, on a clear sky day where the sun's shining. But even on a cloudy day, because the sun is always shining and the stars are always shining. And so allow that to fill you up, and just allow all the trillion, billion, whatever, how many stars are out there, just allow them to fill you up, and just help you, assist you and I to remember that we are that. We are a billion stars. We're a trillion stars. We're made of that same stuff. So it's basically just looking out into the cosmos, whether you see it or not, and just knowing it's there, and allowing all that light to come in. And that's a good thing to do in a healing practice as well. It's just to call into your hands all that energy of that many stars and that much energy, and then bring it into the client, or bring it into your heart and bring it into your soul, and it's just a good way to remember. And so you're listening to The Journey. If you're just joining me, I'm Corey, and we just have a little more time on the show here. I would like to do a final practice, a little bit of a visualization, just a good way to an expansion, as I know some of these days that are filled with so much emotion and a lot of energy of grieving that a lot of people are experiencing, me being one, that when we go into those states of consciousness, a lot of times things can compress in our body, and it's important to just expand out. I often talk about the SAFE practice on the show here, and that's basically the acronym for SAFE is SAFE, but it's basically when you're having a moment and you need to just pull yourself out from that tape, you stop, okay, realize that it's happening, and then you allow, and then you feel what it is, don't have to dive into it, and then you expand through it. And that basically is a great way to just come to terms with the energy that's right there, allow it, feel it, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to have that experience of feeling it too, and then just expand out. And then that energy that was consolidated just goes like a big breath of air, and just let it expand out. So speaking of expansion, I wanted to do a practice today of expanding the auras out. And if you'd like to do that with me today, we're going to go ahead and start that, and maybe just take a minute and situate yourself. Get a sip of your tea or water or whatever you're having. And we can do the aura stretching, basically. And we're just going to finish the show out with that today. This is a great way to expand, and it's all about expansion. We are in that moment of expansion. And so maybe just place a hand to your heart. I invite you to do so if it's safe for you to do that in this moment. And just take in a deep breath. So, yes. Okay. And so if you just want to gently close your eyes, of course, if it's a safe thing to do for you right now. And if not, you can do it with your eyes open, driving, whatever you're doing. You can do it while driving, but I would prefer that you be in a chair and comfortable, and just close your eyes. And I'm going to go ahead and close my eyes with you. And go ahead and just be aware of your body. Here's your body, your hand on your heart. Take another deep breath in. And now I want you to notice that there's this field of energy around you. It's your aura, also known as your attractor field. Just this beautiful energy that is around you. And it could be close to your body. It could be a little bit further away. Everybody has their own way of holding their space. Sometimes we have to bring that in, and sometimes we have to expand that out. And so here you are, noticing your auric field, kind of like this beautiful bubble all around your body. And you may notice a color and a shape and maybe a texture to it, And so as you notice this auric field around you, start allowing it to grow and expand. Imagine it's like this bubble, and you're blowing it up. You're not putting any effort into it. You're just allowing it to expand out. And you're noticing it expanding above you, below you, on all sides. And it's just getting bigger and growing. Yeah. Allow that to expand out beyond the space that you're in right now, the chair you're sitting on, the floor you're lying on, or however you find yourself in this moment. Just allowing that to expand out of the space that you're in, your local environment, your house, your room, your car, and just allowing it to expand out, letting it grow and expand like a big bubble that just keeps growing, and it can grow forever. It will never pop like a bubble. It just keeps growing and growing and expanding out of the area where you're from, or where you're living, or where you're visiting, just allowing that space. And it grows out beyond You're noticing it going out beyond the Earth's atmosphere. And just visualize that and feel it and notice as it's growing out. You're really taking in that cosmic energy, letting that aura go out into the cosmos, past all the planets in our local system, and just allowing that to grow and expand. Notice how you feel, and continuing to allow it further out into the outer reaches of space, beyond the galaxy that we live in. Just allowing that expansion all the way out, continuing to touch the cosmos. Feel that energy and know that you are that energy. And just allow it to grow beyond our understanding of what the universe is. Just let it go all the way, way out there. Expanding out. Let it grow. And just feel the infinite energy that you are made of and part of. That oneness energy. Feel that. And just allow that energy to slowly start coming back. Nice and slow. Taking a tour of the cosmos, galaxies and planets, and infinite energy in space, never ending. Allowing that to come back in slow. And as you are coming back in slowly from the outer reaches of the known universe, know that you are absorbing all that good frequency energy of light and luminosity. Feel that energizing all of you. And slowly coming back into our galaxy. Slowly coming back in around the planet, back to the atmosphere. Bringing it back in, bringing that aura bubble back. Closer in to the area that your body is located. Bringing it back into that space that's around you. And just bring it back into your body. Maybe 18 inches, 3 feet around your body. And just allow that to come all the way in so you can be most present with your body, your mind and your body, and all that you are. Filled with those cosmic energies, and just feel the relaxation of your aura. Regenerated, restored, filled with the cosmic energy of endless light and love. Taking a deep breath. And just notice how filled up you are, how full you are. And remember that you are whole. You are important. You are amazing. And I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye. Thank you for being here. Aloha. Namaste. You've been listening to The Journey on Oneness Talk Radio. I'm Corey. Namaste. Be well. Know how expanded you are.